Don't really have a whole lot to choose from. What the? I can't read any of this! Kanojo no Carrera is a manga that you've probably never heard of. But don't worry, I didn't know about it either until sometime in September last year. So what exactly is this thing? Well, as MyAnimeList puts it, quote, a manga about general car appreciation, or car life as it's known to auto enthusiasts, end quote. The English title is My Favorite Carrera, although Kanojo no Carrera actually translates to Her Carrera, but one can assume they changed it because Her Carrera sounds too plain. Anyway, the series was written and illustrated by Kiya Asamiya, and it ran for 24 volumes from 2004 to 2012. The story revolves around a young female magazine editor named Reina. No, not her. Although she is pretty cool, I'm talking about this young lady, Reina Todoroki. Banzai! At the start of Volume 1, we learned that Reina's father has just passed away. However, her mother reveals that he has left a key for each one of his children, which are Reina and her 2 older brothers. The eldest brother receives a key to their house and land, and the second brother gets a key to a cruiser. Reina, on the other hand, receives a car key, which belongs to a rare Porsche 964 Carrera RS. And this leaves Reina feeling extremely confused. You see, Reina is by no means a car enthusiast. She has no knowledge of cars whatsoever, and she drives an automatic. Despite this, she does take a liking to the Porsche, until she stalls it in the middle of the road. So yeah, not a very good start. But this was only the beginning of Reina's journey. As the story progresses, we get to see Reina not only become more comfortable driving her Porsche, but also learn more about car maintenance, expand her knowledge of different car brands, and experience the joy of driving. Throughout this series, there are quite a few characters who show up along the way. Some of these characters include Reina's younger cousin, Aika Misaki, who is a high school student and an exceptionally talented driver, the Ferrari-obsessed Paruko Kirishima, who, reminds me of a certain someone. Bitch! And the GTR-obsessed Riko Hane, who is also Reina's cousin. Along with the variety of characters, there's also a wide variety of cars. I mean, just look at the covers and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, if you're going to have a manga series full of cars, you're obviously going to have chapters full of racing. But while racing plays a big role in this series, you also get some chapters that focus on daily life, usually revolving around Reina. These chapters often contain a lot of humorous moments, but you also get moments like these in the racing chapters as well. This makes it stand out from well-known series like Initial D and One Gun Midnight, because while those are more serious, this one focuses more on comedy. Another interesting thing about this series is that you occasionally get a little history lesson on a particular car. It's not like you're getting entire Wikipedia articles crammed into speech bubbles, but it's more like being provided a bit of car trivia. You also occasionally get some ecchi moments. So, if you're not into that sort of thing, this may be a problem for you. One more fun little detail to point out is that at the end of a chapter, you get a little spending report, which gives you a summary of how much money Reina spent during the chapter you just read. It may be a little unnecessary, but it also adds something unique to the series. So all of that being said, what are my overall thoughts on this manga? Well, you read the title. It's obvious. I love this series, which I guess isn't all that surprising if you've seen my other videos. As someone who prefers anime over manga, it's quite shocking to me that I've become so obsessed over a manga. But I sincerely enjoyed reading this hidden gem. And the crazy thing is that I literally discovered this through a YouTube video. A few months ago, I stumbled across a stop-motion video featuring a Lamborghini Countach, and someone in the comments said something like, "This reminds me of that manga about that blue Countach." So I looked it up on MyAnimeList, and then down in the recommendations, I found Kanojo no Carrera, and I was like, hey, this looks like something right up my alley. And it was.
When you concentrate on girls and cars, works for me.
So if this manga is so great, then why have I only read 4 volumes? Correction, 3 4/5. Well, there's a problem. Like a lot of other titles, this manga never got an international release, which means that all of the physical copies that exist are in Japanese. So how are you supposed to read it? Well, you have 2 main options. One is good old Mangadex, which is what I've been using. Unfortunately, there's only 3 volumes available, and the latest chapter was uploaded shortly before I started reading this series back in October. According to the current translator, the reason for this is simply due to lack of motivation. Although the series has not been dropped, it may be a while before the next update. More on this later. Your second option is Manga Planet, which actually has the official translation for this series. I've never used this site before, but it looks like you have to buy each chapter using points, or buy a pass. This is fine and all, but the main problem with this option is that they only have the first 10 volumes, and the last update was over a year ago. Now, I don't mean to be skeptical or anything, but given the lack of attention this series seems to get, we may never really know if they'll ever release the other 14 volumes. Oh, and did I forget to mention the sequels and the spin-off? Yeah, there's a lot of content you're missing out on. So, basically, you're screwed. Fuck! But wait, there's another option. Kind of. Buy the fan book, which you still may be able to find on eBay. Not only does this book contain some cool art, but it also includes a summary of all 24 volumes. In Japanese, of course. So pull out your phone, open Google Translate, and start reading. The only problem with this is that it only highlights a few of the chapters from each volume. So you're still missing out on a lot of content. And then you have your final option. If you can manage to get your hands on a physical copy, you can read it using Google Translate. While this is a pain in the ass, it is possible, and based on my personal experience, it actually wasn't that bad. Although there were a few moments that I couldn't really understand, overall, I had a decent idea of what was going on. Speaking of the fan book, there's not really a whole lot of other merchandise for this series, which I guess isn't all that surprising. Based on what I could find, there's also calendars, a CD, a board game, some glasses collab, whatever this is, and 2 model cars released by Good Smile back in 2011. And I must say, even though I don't collect model cars as much as I used to, I'd love to have the model of Reina's car. And not just because it was released by Good Smile. And I say this because some of you may know that I kind of have a thing for Good Smile. But unfortunately, these models are extremely rare, and I doubt Good Smile will ever re-release these things. So, it's pretty obvious that Kanojo no Carrera is not as popular as similar series like Initial D and Wangan Midnight. But that doesn't mean it's completely unknown in Japan. As a matter of fact, there's an actual cafe that has this manga as its theme. And as you may have already guessed, this has become a location I want to visit at some point in my life. And as for the series itself, it seems like Kiya Asamiya is still making new art for it, mainly for calendars. And yeah, that's really all the information I could gather. So all of that being said, I hope I was able to persuade you enough to go check out this manga for yourself. I know there may be some people who are thinking, wow, this looks awful. I have no idea why you're so obsessed with this series. And that's okay. I'm well aware that this sort of manga isn't appealing to everyone. But the goal of this video was simply to provide more information about this series and help give it more attention. I know this won't lead to it getting an anime adaptation, which would be pretty awesome, but hopefully I can at least boost the popularity of this manga, even just by a little bit. Now, if you are someone who is interested in this series and enjoyed it, what can you do? Well, spread the word. Tell others about this manga. Share it. Do whatever you've got to do. Also, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the manga has not been updated for quite a while now on Mangadex due to lack of motivation. However, the current translator is open to people helping out with translations to continue the series. So, if you're interested, there's a Discord server you can join for announcements, and if you'd like to help out, I guess you can send the owner a message. Some of you may be saying, Mordecai, you seem pretty passionate about this series, why don't you help out? Well, I've been considering it, but I just don't know if I'm really qualified. However, if there aren't any updates for a while, and if nobody steps in, then perhaps I'll see if I can do something. Anyway, I think that's about all I wanted to say about this manga. I apologize if I left out any important details or if I didn't provide enough details. I just wanted to make sure I didn't spoil too much, so that way you could experience most of the series for yourself. One thing I forgot to add is that I feel like there's a lot of people who are unnecessarily rude towards Reina in this series, but I guess it's not that far from reality because, you know, there's a lot of arrogant people out there and just straight up assholes. Also, I apologize if this video felt a little unorganized. I typically don't make videos like this, so I'm still pretty much a noob at it. Kind of like Reina when she first started driving stick. Anyhow, that's about it from me. Any final words? You know, Kanojo also means girlfriend, so I'm gonna go daydream about Reina and cry myself to sleep. I guess they're called virgin comics for a reason, huh?
ありがとう。